Whispers from Windsor are getting louder, and this time they're not about a new photo call or a surprise walkabout. After 3 deliberately quiet years at the storybook pretty Adelaide cottage, the Prince and Princess of Wales are, insiders say, weighing a move so loaded with symbolism it makes the walls of Windsor Great Park hum. The address on their minds? Fort Belvedere, the brooding, beautiful, history-soaked house where a king signed away his crown. Adelaide was the soft launch for a different kind of royal childhood. 4 bedrooms, a pink facade, dog walks on the home park, school runs to Lambrook, bedtime stories without a press pack. It worked. It also had an expiration date. 3 kids aren't getting smaller, workloads aren't getting lighter. The future king's calendar is creeping toward the red zone, and Catherine's return to frontline work is gathering pace. Space, privacy, and control stop being luxuries. They become strategy. Which is why the fort keeps coming up in hushed calls and careful briefings. Tucked deep inside Windsor Great Park, Fort Belvedere is no ordinary residence. This is the last place on earth you can live without feeling the past breathing down your neck, and that's exactly the point. Edward VIII signed his abdication there in 1936. The ink of that moment still seems to ripple through the lawns. To choose it now isn't just about square footage. It's about a message. Reclaim the narrative, redeem the address, turn an era-defining goodbye into a very modern, we're just getting started. You can see the family logic at 20 paces. Reports talk of sweeping grounds, screened drives, the sort of amenities that let a young family live big lives behind small fences. A pool for summer chaos, stables for early rides that don't require a convoy. A tennis court where a certain 10-year-old with a fierce forehand can practice without a telephoto lens in sight. Charlotte loves her tennis. And after that lesson with a Grand Slam champion, are we surprised? It reads like extravagance until you remember reality. A private court is also a security solution, a normal childhood plan with a net and chalk lines. This isn't the only address that's been floated. Royal Lodge, sprawling, contested, stubbornly occupied, was whispered about too. But the Duke of York isn't moving, and the optics are toxic. A private wing at Windsor Castle? Tempting on paper, claustrophobic in practice. Life inside the epicenter of the firm is not the childhood William and Catherine promised their kids when they decamped from Kensington full-time. They didn't leave London to raise 3 children in a corridor of courtiers. Fort Belvedere, by contrast, seems to hit every note. It keeps the family in the Windsor orbit that's now the beating heart of the modern monarchy. It keeps Lambrook 10 minutes away and Windsor Castle 10 minutes further. It gives George room to grow into the strange gravity of destiny without growing up in a museum. It gives Charlotte a reason to lace up. It gives Louis a garden big enough to burn off 7-year-old energy without crossing a public path. And it gives their parents something rarer than crown jewels, a home that can hold a private life and a public role at the same time. Another house? The critics will sigh. But look closer and you see a map, not a trophy shelf. Apartment 1A at Kensington remains the London base when the capital calls. 20 rooms, 5 reception spaces, a designer's steady hand, and a familiar drive to the palace for investitures and receptions. Anmer Hall in Norfolk stays the family refuge, the place William once described simply, "We spend as much time as we can here. It's very peaceful." And in Wales, Llwynarmod offers a rootedness that matters when your titles need translating into real local life. Each address serves a purpose. None of them are stage sets. Adelaide Cottage did its job. It proved a prince and princess could downshift from palace pomp to school gate normality without vanishing from national life. But 4 bedrooms and a single staircase can only stretch so far when one child stares down adolescence, another collects sports medals, and the littlest one treats every hallway like a racetrack. The move being discussed isn't about gilding, it's about growing. Of course, Fort Belvedere comes with a ghost you can't ignore. That signature, that speech, that photograph of a man choosing love over crown. Does the weight of that history help or hurt? If you're William and Catherine, you turn it into fuel. You take the house most associated with retreat and you make it your base for responsibility. You let your children read the plaque one day and understand that history bends and that their branch of the family intends to bend it back toward duty. There's a practical script behind the poetry. A larger, more secure footprint means fewer logistical gymnastics. It means the team can expand when state occasions hit without turning a family kitchen into a command post. It means the Wales operation can stay lean. Reports suggest they prefer not to have live-in staff, and still scale for the days when the red boxes stack up and the motorcade idles. It means charity roundtables can happen at a dining table that doesn't double as a homework station. It means a filming corner for early years content that doesn't require a 6-hour reset of the house. It also means something quieter: protection. If the last few years taught the Waleses anything, it's that you can give just enough and still keep the middle of your life to yourself. Forest-rimmed acreage and long sightlines buy you that bargain. The public will still see what they need to see: the D-Day readings, the hospital openings, the balcony moments, the unexpected hugs on a rainy walkabout, but they won't see the family dinner unless the family wants them to. There's another layer here, and it's as strategic as it is sentimental. With the monarchy slimmer than at any time in memory, base camp matters. Windsor is already where the action is. Making the fort the family hub hardwires the next generation into the system without trapping them in it. George will be able to shadow, then step back. Charlotte will be able to lead, then play. Louis will be able to be 7, and then 8, and then 9, without a camera at the garden gate. It's a modern version of the old country house settlement that once defined royal childhoods. Except this time the lesson is less about lineage and more about balance. And yet there's tension by design. Fort Belvadier's story carries a warning as well as a promise. It reminds anyone who lives there that choices reverberate, that gravity exists, that the crown is bigger than the person who wears it, and kinder to those who respect that truth. Choosing this house now would say, very softly, but very clearly, that William and Catherine understand that paradox, and intend to raise their children inside it, not outside it. Will the move actually happen? That's the question royal watchers will pick over through autumn and winter. A planning application here, a covered lorry there, a sudden silence around Adelaide. The palace won't tell us until it suits them, and it won't be with a ribbon cutting. It'll be with a throwaway line in a briefing, and months later, a background blur in a photo that sets the internet sleuths alight. That's their way. Quiet steps, loud consequences. If and when the gates do swing for a Wales family convoy, remember this: it won't be a retreat, it'll be a base, a bigger hallway for bigger shoes, a longer table for longer plans, a house that holds a past the family can't change, and a future they absolutely can. And maybe, just maybe, the most audacious part of the whole story is this: the king in waiting and his wife taking the building that once symbolized an ending and turning it into a beginning. Your turn, Windsor watchers. Smart move or risky optics? Is reclaiming Fort Belvedere the ultimate power play, or one history lesson too many? Drop your take below. And if you want every twist, whisper, and hard fact as this story develops, tap like, hit subscribe, and ring the bell. The next chapter in the Wales family saga may be hiding in the trees of the Great Park, and we'll be there when it steps into the light.